Horror movies have always fascinated audiences because they tap into our deepest fears. Fear of the unknown, fear of isolation, and fear of losing control. But among the countless horror films ever made, only a few have risen above the rest to become true cinematic legends. They are films that changed the genre forever, influenced generations of filmmakers, and continue to terrify viewers decades after their release. In this countdown, we reveal the top 3 horror movies of all time, the films that define fear on the big screen. And by the end, one question remains: which film truly deserves the #1 spot? Taking the top spot is The Exorcist, released in 1973 and directed by William Friedkin. Widely regarded as the greatest horror film ever made, this masterpiece transformed horror from simple entertainment into something far deeper and more disturbing. What made The Exorcist so powerful was its ability to combine supernatural terror with psychological and spiritual conflict. The story of a young girl possessed by a demonic force became more than a tale of fear. It became a confrontation with faith, evil, and the limits of human understanding. The film was revolutionary for its time, earning 9 Academy Award nominations, including becoming the first horror film ever nominated for Best Picture. Even decades later, its chilling imagery, emotional depth, and haunting atmosphere continue to make The Exorcist the gold standard of horror cinema. At number 2 is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, released in 1960, the film that gave birth to modern psychological horror. Before Psycho, horror often relied on monsters and the supernatural, but Hitchcock proved that the most terrifying monsters can be completely human. Through the unforgettable character of Norman Bates, the film explored fractured identity, repression, and madness in ways audiences had never seen before. Hitchcock's genius extended beyond the story. The sharp editing, unsettling camera angles, and Bernard Herrmann's iconic screeching violin score created a new cinematic language of fear. Perhaps its most shocking achievement was breaking storytelling rules by killing the apparent main character early in the film, leaving audiences stunned and unsure of what could happen next. Even now, Psycho remains one of the most influential horror films ever created. At number 3 is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, released in 1980, a masterclass in psychological dread. Unlike traditional horror films that rely on sudden scares, The Shining creates fear through atmosphere. The Overlook Hotel itself feels alive, with endless hallways, eerie silence, and a growing sense that something is deeply wrong. Kubrick carefully crafted every frame to pull viewers into a slow descent into madness. And at the center of it all is Jack Nicholson's unforgettable performance as Jack Torrance, a man slowly consumed by isolation and insanity. What makes The Shining so terrifying is that it never fully explains everything. Instead, it leaves viewers trapped inside its mystery, forcing them to question what is real and what is imagined. That lingering unease is what has made The Shining one of the most discussed horror films in cinema history. These 3 films represent the very pinnacle of horror cinema. The Exorcist brought spiritual terror into mainstream filmmaking. Psycho redefined fear by showing the darkness within the human mind. and The Shining proved that atmosphere alone can become a nightmare. Each of these films changed horror forever, inspiring countless directors and terrifying audiences across generations. But what makes them truly timeless is their ability to do more than scare us. They stay with us long after the credits roll. Because the greatest horror films don't just make us scream, they make us remember.